Let's find out how all this is going down with those in the Conservative Party and the wider membership. We speak now to Stephen James, chairman of the Folkestone and Hythe Conservative Association. Morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. How are you?
Excellent. I've been a big fan ever since you were on T4, so it's great to speak to you.
Well, that's very kind,
We found
Stephen.
one.
Yes, I know. I knew it would happen at some point. And that is the way to have a nice interview. Just butter me up at the start, Stephen.
Thank you.
So let's talk about this report. If it's critical, should Boris Johnson go?
I don't think we're going to be getting away from it being critical, but it's that level of criticism that I think that will steer a lot of grassroots members and the parliamentarians as well.
And how are you feeling? How critical would it need to be for you to think, OK, it's time?
I think lots of people know that Boris Johnson is an unconventional leader. They knew that when they elected him as leader. They knew that when he was the mayor of London. But they like that. They like that about him. And that kind of unconventionalness is coming out now in these kinds of these stories. And I think people are going to weigh up the things that he's done well. In terms of Brexit, vaccine, employment levels, youth unemployment is at its lowest ever. And they're going to say, right, is that in the balance of things as bad as having a birthday cake on his birthday?
What do you think about the idea of the Prime Minister being questioned by the police, which, from what we're hearing, it is going to happen? It doesn't look great, does it?
It doesn't look great, but it's also not the first time a sitting Prime Minister has been questioned by the police. I'm sure you'll remember Tony Blair was questioned 3 times by the police, and he came out still as the Prime Minister. So it's absolutely right and proper that the Prime Minister helps with their investigations. It doesn't look great, you're right, but I think as long as he helps and does his thing, we'll be okay.
What do you think about the MPs that appear to be trying to push Boris Johnson out? So some of whom you would argue owe their seats to Boris Johnson.
Yeah. And I feel very sympathetic to them because they do owe their seats to Boris, but they're in seats which are very, very marginal. So they have to, on the ground, be seen to be pushing against what this situation is. And kind of looking at those MPs who are pushing against Boris and are speaking out against Boris, I'm going to make a very kind of generous term here, but they're all Remainers as well. So it's it's all coming back to that kind of that Brexit debate again. You've got Lord Heseltine saying, if the Prime Minister goes, that's the end of Brexit. You've got Lord Adonis saying the same. So you have all these kind of conspiracy theories bouncing around the kind of grassroots of Conservatives, which isn't helpful. We need to wait for the report and see for ourselves.
Do you feel that as it stands, Mr. Johnson is still more of an asset for the Conservative Party?
As it stands, I think he is. It's difficult to see a member of the cabinet or the wider party that can take his role as this, bombastic campaigner that won us those seats in 2019.
I mean, the polls aren't looking pretty at the moment, are they? I know you can't read an enormous amount into polls, but they're not good.
They're not looking good, but also I will. I've got, again, huge sympathy for those Conservative associations who are facing elections this year in May. Thankfully, down in Folkestone and Hythe, we don't have one till 2023. But it's going to damage our reputation in the short term. But I think longer term, I think people are able to kind of see and take a more balanced approach at these things.
Nice to speak to you this morning, Stephen. Stephen James there, chairman of the Folkestone and Hythe Conservative Association. 18 minutes past 8.
And coming